Well, I just going back to that native currency for the internet. Tw- Twitter is very much an internet company where we could create a website or we could create an app and make it available everywhere. Everyone and anyone in the world who finds it can use it. Companies like Square and Stripe are not really internet companies because for us to exist in a market, we need to have a local relationship with a bank. We need to pay attention to the differences in local regulatory environment. So we have to go by, this market by market by market approach. It took us 9 months to launch in the United States because of this conversation with the banks and the networks and whatnot.
How many different markets are there that, from a compliance point of view, that you have to consider?
All of them. I mean, all of them are different. The European Union changes slightly, but like opening up in Ireland is completely different from opening up in Spain, which Square just did. So, each one of these markets, we have to do this market by market. It took us 2 years for Australia, over a year and a half for Japan. So the issue is that all these markets have different systems. They have different ways of doing things, different currencies, different models. And they all have some degree of obscurity of information as well, which makes development much, much harder. If Bitcoin existed, when we started was at mass, and we can launch something like Cash App, utilizing Bitcoin and Lightning as the transport mechanism, we can be in every single app store around the world today. So it really speeds up our time to market. It speeds up how we can build more tools on top of the network, on top of the foundation, to add even more value to our customers if they find it valuable. So it really changes it for us. Like if this does become more and more of a means of transport of money and energy and time, then we get to move much faster. We get to open more markets faster. We get to see Square and Cash App and Tidal in more places. And we can be more like an internet company. And even, if Bitcoin existed before Twitter started, I think we would see completely different business models. I don't think we would be as dependent upon an advertising business model. I think there would be a much healthier balance on multiple business models at once instead of this over dependence upon one. I think we'd see a lot less of the issues that advertising systems can bring up in terms of privacy and everything we're seeing around surveillance capitalism as well. So the fact that the internet didn't have this mode of transport and didn't have this protocol and didn't have this currency, forced into very traditional models that became massive at scale and then can become quite dangerous at scale as well. So I'm very excited to see the new models that emerge because we now have Bitcoin, and we're now the closest we've ever been to a native currency for the internet, which to me changes everything.
So TCP/IP is like the universal digital information protocol, and that caused all these internet companies to be able to deploy their services everywhere on Earth simultaneously without jumping through compliance hoops and having armies of lawyers, right?
100%.
But you see Bitcoin/Lightning as like universal monetary protocol.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and probably beyond that. I mean, there was a time early in Bitcoin's history when there was less of a focus on Bitcoin as that currency aspect and just as that transport, and more on blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is amazing, but the network's power is what people do with it and the use cases. And the use case for the internet to have something like this is, I think, as fundamental as TCP/IP or HTTP, SMNP, which is a mail protocol. So these open protocols create companies, they create projects, they create entirely new cultural and societal shifts that I think ultimately lead to more trust and more transparency.